All right, everyone. So we're nearing the end. We're on chapter 11 of 11 chapters and a conclusion. So if you made it this far, good on you. We're just about there. So right now we're going to move into personal hygiene in food handling. Working with food in dirty clothing is more than just a little unsightly. It can actually be dangerous. Um, and yeah, keeping up with the laundry can be a little challenging at times, but good hygiene is incredibly important in a food handler's setting. So a proper hygiene basically is essential to limiting and preventing the spread of pathogens in the food handling environment, because stains on clothes and dirty clothes can harbor bacteria, pathogens, old chemicals, damaged buttons, fibers, etc. Habits such as working in clean uniforms and frequently washing hands and making sure that nobody is working while they're sick are a lot of good ways to ensure the practice of good hygiene in the workplace. So we're going to start off with hand washing. So hand washing is the best way to protect clients and customers from pathogens, and it's essential at multiple points throughout the food handler's shift. Hands should be washed before the beginning of food preparation. It should be done after using the restroom or after touching the face, hair, or other hand surfaces. You should also be sure to be washing your hands after handling raw meat, touching dirty equipment, handling money, or taking out the trash, as these are all really bacteria-rich activities. It should also be noted that food handlers should be working in dedicated areas and doing a dedicated job, just so you don't have people moving from one task to another and bringing the bacteria from one area to another with them. Hand washing should always be done at a sink specifically designated as a hand washing basin. They should be equipped with liquid soap and paper towels, because reusable towels and bar soap all harbor bacteria, and you'll just end up transferring bacteria from one staff member to another with those. You should use designated hand washing sinks specifically to prevent cross-contamination and making sure the sink is used for just hand washing and nothing else. An example is if you're thawing food in a hand wash sink, the food handler would either have to remove the food and contaminating it, or place it on another contact surface, which will contaminate that surface, or even worse, they'll just wash their hands over the thawing food, which again contaminates the food with the soap and the bacteria from their hands. So be sure that your hand washing sinks are only used for hand washing and that they're located in convenient and easy to reach places. Now, when washing your hands, you should always be sure to wet your hands under clean, warm, running water. You should then apply soap and lather your hands thoroughly, and you should scrub for at least 20 seconds. Once your hands are scrubbed, you shouldn't turn off the taps right away. Instead, you want to reach for a clean paper towel. Air dryers aren't really as good for this purpose, but you should always reach for a paper towel if available. Dry your hands and then use that paper towel to turn off the tap. And then, as an added bonus step, using the paper towel to open the bathroom door and throw out the paper towel afterwards. So effective hand washing can significantly reduce the risk of foodborne illnesses. Studies show that proper hand hygiene can reduce the spread of pathogens like salmonella and norovirus by up to 50%. And that kind of shows you the link that exists between hand hygiene and preventing foodborne illness outbreaks. On wearing gloves, they don't really eliminate the need for hand washing. Hands should be washed before putting on gloves to avoid contaminating them during application, and they should be changed regularly throughout the shift. And this is if you're going to wear them, so especially after handling raw foods or touching potentially contaminated surfaces or money. It's generally preferred not to wear gloves unless there's a cut or another reason. Gloves can easily become more contaminated than bare hands, as people wearing gloves think their hands are clean as they're touching other stuff, and then don't generally change the gloves and wash their hands at appropriate times. Food handlers' hair should always be restrained with hats, hair nets, or other coverings to prevent stray hairs from contaminating the food. And food handlers should avoid any activities that might introduce bacteria or contamination, like touching their face, scratching their faces or nose, adjusting your clothing at all, which again is why you should be wearing clean clothing, but especially just shouldn't be adjusting your clothes, um, or doing any of those things while you're preparing food, or especially taking money. Money is really dirty. It changes a lot of hands. So you really shouldn't be dealing with clients and taking money and then moving right to food production. You should generally be wearing clean uniforms. The clothing worn in your area should be clean, changed regularly, and dirty clothing should be removed since it carries pathogens and can serve as another source of contamination. A lot of restaurants will have a laundry service and a change room for staff to change on site so that they can bring in fresh clothing all the time. And then that takes the burden off of the staff to continually do laundry, and it makes sure that everyone wears clean clothes every day. When employees are sick, obviously they shouldn't be going to work. Foodborne illnesses can be transmitted either directly or indirectly by an infected food handler. Again, think back to when we're talking about carriers and typhoid Mary, moving from place to place to place while infected. It's the same thing if someone's regularly sick and feels the symptoms. They obviously shouldn't be coming, and they should stay home from work until they're symptom free for at least 24 hours. So the proper procedure for managing an employee illness, um, any employee that experiences something like vomiting or diarrhea or a fever should notify their manager right away, and they should be kept home and especially excluded from food handling duties until they are symptom free for at least 24 hours. So after they start to feel better, you should wait another extra day to make sure that the illness is gone. We all experienced that during COVID when you were isolated for your 2 weeks, and then after you felt better for 2 days, they let you start coming back to work. This is kind of the similar principle to that. So again, proper hygiene, it's more than just wearing clean clothes. It's washing your hands, taking showers, and making sure that you're not sick when you come to work. Proper personal hygiene is one of the most foundational aspects of food safety, and by practicing effective hand hygiene, using gloves correctly, restraining your hair, wearing uniforms, and making sure you're not sick when you work, you can help play a huge role in preventing the spread of foodborne illnesses to all your clients.